early. It doesn't take long to read. I learned that out years ago. But when it comes to study, it takes some time.
It takes time. It takes time, and it's a time that we have to make. And the Lord gives us that time. We just have to take it. He makes it. So, I found this quote from Spurgeon. You know, he's my favorite. It's for Spurgeon's Faith Checkbook. It's a devotional book that he wrote. It says, if we desire to glorify our Lord by fruitfulness, we must have certain things within us. For nothing can come out of us which is not first of all within us.
That's right.
Amen?
Amen.
We must begin with faith, which is the groundwork of all the virtues, and then diligently add to it virtue, knowledge, temperance, and patience. With these we must have godliness and brotherly kindness. All these put together will most assuredly cause us to produce as our life fruit the clusters of usefulness, and we shall not be mere idle knowers, but real doers of the word.
Amen.
See, because you can be an idle knower
That's right.
or be a real doer of the word. These holy things must not only be in us, but abound, or we shall be barren. Fruit is the overflow of life. What good is a fruit tree if it's not bearing any fruit? Jesus said it ain't good for nothing but to be cut down and thrown in the fire. We must all be full before we can flow over. Come on now. Come on, Spurgeon, talk. You got to be full before you can flow over. Everybody about my overflow and ain't even full yet. we got to get full before we can open. That glass is not going to, if you begin to pour water, just right now, you just want this thing to just start overflowing. It can't overflow because it's not full. But once it can become full, then it can start to overflow. It says, we have noticed men of considerable parts and opportunities who have never succeeded in doing real good in the conversion of souls. And after close observation, we have concluded that they lack certain graces which are absolutely essential to fruit bearing. For real usefulness, graces are better than gifts. That's something right there. Because sometimes we get caught up in the gift and not understand about how powerful the graces are in our life. As the man is, so is his work. If we would do better, we must be better. Let the text be a gentle hint to unfruitful professors and to myself also. Amen. That's a powerful statement.
Pastor,
right?
I think, if we don't have the graces in our life, how's the gifts going to operate?
Right. See, a lot of times, the Bible says that the gifts and the calling are without repentance. And a lot of times, a person can be gifted, but yet still, they are not very graceful. You can have, and so then that person, just in the natural, a person who is gifted but not very graceful is a turnoff. So much more in the spirit, because we've met many gifted people, spiritually gifted people, preachers, prophets, but they raggedy in their life and their living, and so therefore, they're not, nobody's drawn to them, and they're not really effective as they should be, even though they're extremely spiritually gifted. And then you have somebody who is not as gifted, but is just full of grace. Has that grace going about, and people just gravitate, it's like magnets. People just gravitate to them because of the love of God that is shed abroad. Because when you have grace, see, these things that Peter is talking about here are not gifts. These are graces. And like Sister Moody said, these graces are what make the gift more effective and more powerful. Now, 2 Peter 1:9. So he goes to the other spectrum now.
But he that lacketh these things is blind and cannot see afar off, and hath forgotten that he was purged from his old sins.
Okay, now read the God's Word Today. That's what he does, he teaches God's Word Today translation.
If these qualities aren't present in your life, you're short-sighted and have forgotten that you were cleansed from your past sins.
If these things is lacking, if these things ain't there, you blind and you can't really see. You short-sighted and you have forgotten that you were purged from your old sin. In other words, it's easy to fall back into the bad habits and the bad dispositions and everything because these things are bad. You can be in church and just be as mean as a rattlesnake. Am I right? To be sitting up in here just dressed nice, smelling good, and be mean as a rattlesnake. Short-tempered, short-fused.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I used the illustration about, the difference between an insulated wire and a wire that's not insulated. Both of them have the same current running through, but you can handle one and nothing happens to you. But if you touch that other one, buddy, you're gonna be in for a shock.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people in church, boy. I tell you what, you go ahead and handle it if you want, boy. You'll be shocked by how they act. So, but am I right? Am I right? Okay. And nobody's exempt from that. That's why we have to continually work and let these things continue to abound and increase. Since there is no limit, why stop? Ain't that something? If there's no limit, why stop? You can go higher. Why be settled for where I'm just good where I am? I'm just happy where I am. I don't need to go. No, that's not the right, because then you get satisfied and get settled. And what happens when that happens? A spirit of pride comes in. Spirit to say, I've arrived. So now, you can't be told nothing else because you have reached the pinnacle of biblical knowledge. You reached the pinnacle of biblical understanding, and can't nobody tell me that because I got it all together. And just be set up for a fall.
That's arrogance.
Yeah.
Arrogance. Yes.
That's a big difference between arrogance and confidence.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, there's a very, very big difference. And so it says, a professing Christian who is not working out his salvation with diligence as discussed here has spiritual myopia and is unable to discern his true spiritual condition. You're in a bad shape and when you really can't see how bad you are. That's what Peter's talking about here. He's blind and short-sighted. You can't see how bad you are. In your mind, in your eyesight, you think everything is right. You think you're right. The way you talk to people is right. The way you act is right. And you just as wrong as two left shoes.
Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, Mr. Magoo. Yeah. Mr. Magoo, that's right. Because he was about a blind joker right there, boy. But that's what I said. When you cannot actually see that the way you are is not good, and you can't see it and you think you're right. This is what Peter's talking about. You are blind, you cannot see, and you have lost the understanding and have forgotten that you've been saved. Saved, and now, can you imagine being saved and then somehow along the line you have forgotten you've been saved? You have forgotten you've been purged, and your actions are completely contrary to the Word of God, but you can't see it. And if somebody try to correct you, oh Lord.
I found something wrong, Pastor. God will convict you. He will convict you.
Oh, God will.
Yeah, and you will know it in your spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, sir. He will convict you.
And that's what it'll take sometimes for some people, because if you just try to tell somebody, it'll take God to show them.
That's right.
It says here, such a person will likely have a lack of assurance of salvation. He focuses on the earth and the things of the earth, the passing fads and the fashions of the time. By the time he tries to look to eternity, it is so out of focus he can't even perceive it. He is the victim of spiritual myopia. This person lacks the ability to see beyond the temporal to the eternal in everyday life situations and will live in doubt and fear as a useless, unfruitful believer. Wow. Wow. When we get to the point where we can see beyond the temporal, that when we see the circumstances more than we see God, that we see the problem more than the problem solver, when we magnify the minor and minimize the major, that's when, like I said, we're blind and we can't see, because when you're short-sighted, all you can see is in front of you. You can't see the big picture. You can't see God's hand. You know, you can't see. Somebody said something to me at work, the other day, today, because I was talking about, we just talk about all the situations that happened. The car breaking down. He said, but just think, would it have been better for you to happen to you than if what if your wife had a car and she was stranded out somewhere? I was like, you know what? Sometimes you can't see the big picture. Because you just focus on what's going on in your little world. I said, you know what? That's right. That could have been when I left the car. That could have happened when my wife had the car. She could have been going somewhere and been stranded. So like I said, but if you're short-sighted, all you can focus is on yourself.